shit, that's why. I can feel the pressure in my chest every day, like the same. And no matter what I smoke, I can never really lose the blame. And if it's all the same, I'll just take the pain. I don't even need to know a name.
All right, what's up, everyone? This is 7 Octoberz. Hello, hip hop heads and horror fans. There's another episode of Nightmare on Sedgwick Avenue podcast. It's season 3, episode 4. Today I have a dope guest, but before I introduce him and everything, just wanted to say the track that I just played. It's actually my guest, so it's the homie KillcRey. He just dropped his album or EP called Simple, and the track I just played is called Same Same. Go check it out. We're going to discuss that. But again, I have a dope guest. It's KillcRey. He's an MC, a filmmaker, photographer. He's a member of the art collective The Fresh State. He also is the host of the Crappy Awesome podcast, editor at large at Platform Collection that I'm proud to be a part of. Technically, he's my boss and also my friend and mentor. So without further ado, I'll bring him on the screen here. What's up, Kelsey?
Hey, what's up, Gabby?
Hey,
How's it
so good. um, so this is the second time actually I'm interviewing you. The first time it was when I was first starting out actually, and I had no visual podcast. It was all audio. So for those that follow my
that's
blog,
right, at the
yeah,
park.
yeah, yep, exactly, yeah. So for those that follow the blog, I've interviewed you before, so I obviously switched it up because I don't want to ask the same questions for those that actually did read the interview or listen to it when it was on streaming. So just to get started, get it a little bit into it. You just debuted it, Simple. We'll get that into a little bit, but how are you doing? How are you feeling after releasing that?
I'm good. I think now I'm good. I think I've been telling like a lot of people that it was like a stressful situation. Um uh I'm not really into putting together like projects like albums only because I like to release music in real time.
Yeah,
But not because I think albums aren't good, but because I think that it's a way for me to stay connected with my audience. So that's why I like to release music a lot, and not being able to do that obviously could bother me at some point, and
yeah,
it kind of did for a while. But I'm
yeah.
good now.
That's
I'm good
good.
now. Now that the project's out and it's out there in the world, I'm cool.
That's dope. Yeah, I've seen like obviously the dope feedback from people and everything from your interview last night with Jeffy. Shout out to Jeffy. Obviously you've been getting a lot of great feedback. So, kind of to do a little throwback, like I mentioned, I interviewed you before, and I kind of went back to do a little research and bring some stuff that you had mentioned in that interview. So one of the things that always stuck to me from that interview was that you said you wanted to say the most profound things in the simplest ways, which I feel you accomplished that with this album,
Hmm.
which is kind of crazy that what you said like 2 years ago kind of goes with the album called Simple. So
Yeah.
before we talk about Simple, you obviously in 2020 you released, like you said, you love dropping like singles real time. So you dropped 6 singles in 2020, and then you also in 2019 you did 6 singles as well. So you stayed consistent. Why did you
Yeah.
do singles? Obviously, you said real time, but why do you think singles were better in those two years before actually releasing the album now?
Mm, I don't know. I think that I have a like my idea of an album has always been like a collection of thoughts that go together,
Hmm.
or like a narrative or a story. Um, and that wasn't really what I was talking about. I was talking about stuff in real time. So it was like how I felt. I think if you follow all the songs I released before Simple, you can kind of follow them in order of how they came out, and you can kind of see like how I was like developing as a person. And whereas with Simple, I would say Simple is like me during COVID, really, like during this last 2020, during like one of the craziest years of my life for sure.
Yeah,
It was a collection of those thoughts in all of that, during that time. So I think that's like the major difference, and that was that I definitely like releasing singles. I'm gonna go back to that for sure.
Okay.
Maybe another album. I've been saying I don't really want to do another album.
Mm-hmm.
Not anytime soon, but we'll see. You know,
Okay.
the farther I get away from it, the more I'm able to like enjoy it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then before I get to the next question, I hear a little bit of crackling on your mic, so I don't know if it's the
Is there?
a little bit,
How
a
about
little bit.
now?
It looks. I think it sounds fine. Test it one more time.
Check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Okay, I think that's better. Yeah,
I
it's a
don't.
little
I'm
bit
not hearing
crackling.
it on my side. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's my mic. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Um. So which from the singles that you dropped, like those technically 12, if you add them together, which one was like your favorite one from 2019 and 2020?
Um. Hmm. My favorite one
Yeah,
would
and like why?
be. Mm, I feel like. God, what is the name of it? I'm so bad with the names of my own songs. It was the video. This time, I think this time
This time.
I liked it because I remember when Gene Flow produced that album, or produced those songs, most of those songs.
Mm-hmm.
I produced a few, but he produced most of them. He produced my favorite ones, and I remember when we recorded this time, I kind of knew because of what it was about and what I was talking about, and like how the hook went, and just it was a real positive song. I kind of knew that that was going to catch on, and I remember having early discussions with Gene, and I think he was pushing "Never Heard It," in which
Okay.
was a video I put out as well. But for me, it was I just kind of knew that this time was gonna give me a lot of traction because I felt like a lot of people could relate to that song, and they did. That was like it's probably was up until Simple Drop. That was like one of my most streamed songs, um, and the video is like one of the more popular videos. So,
Okay.
and it's one of the songs that like when I did do live shows, it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of always like a high point of the show. So that's
Okay.
usually how I like it. I pick my songs on like the ones I like to perform the most, and this time was
Mm-hmm.
that.
Okay. And so simple. What inspired the album? You mentioned it a little bit briefly, but I remember you were writing it. I think like maybe November after we finished my EP.
Yeah.
What was like the writing process? Like how long did it take you to create? Like how long have you had it finished?
Mm, so I uploaded it 3 times on the day that it was going to come out. So I worked on it all the way
Yeah,
to
all the
the
way till the
to the
end.
day that it came out to the hour
Yeah.
to the hour. I was still like fucking with mixes and like for me mixing and mastering is still such a new thing. So and I kind of have like my opinion on it is like I like it just has to sound good to me,
Mhm.
because I don't what I the reason I took it down and put it back up is because I'd hear it back on the stream and I'd be like, this is a little off. And my thought on that is that I'll be somewhere, somebody will say, play the record, I'll play it, and I won't be able to enjoy it because all I'll hear is that thing that's wrong with it. And I cared about this project too much. Like I put too much into it. I sacrificed too much for it to like live to let it be out there like that. So
Yeah.
I'd say I worked on it the entire time since the beginning of 2020 till the
Oh
very
wow.
last day.
Yeah.
Um, but the songs and concepts and writing them, um, I'd say every song that's on the album was finished within like a couple days from the beginning to end. That's usually how I write, only
Okay.
just because I don't I don't write down lyrics, so I stay a little longer in the studio. I have my own studio, so I just take my time. Um, and then usually I'll write like verses or hooks, one of them first,
Mhm.
and I never do them both on the same day. So
Oh,
that
okay.
was kind of my practice.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it just worked for me. Like I felt like it's why the album sounds like the way it does. If I feel like the verses and the hooks are very distinct things that do connect to each other, but I try
Mhm.
to like change up the energies, and I don't think you can do that back to back in the studio. At least I can't. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but all in all, I think each of them took probably a couple days, and I've been sitting on all of them since um, November. They were all laid down by November,
Okay,
and
that's
then they
dope.
came out on the February 21st. So I've been sitting with them since November at least.
Okay, and I did like the review on my blog of the EP or album, and I said like it's really like
Mm-hmm.
futuristic. I remember you playing me. I think it was either same or which one's the one that was produced by Spasmatic?
Oh,
Was it
meditation.
Meditation? I
Mm-hmm.
think you might have played me like a little bit of it, and it sounded way different. Like the initial one you showed me, because I think you were
Mm-hmm.
working on
Mm-hmm.
changing it up a bit. But I already could tell that. I think I told you like when I listened to him, like it sounds really like futuristic, like outer space type of stuff. And I think that's like your unique sound that I feel like you've mastered. Um, you're like obviously like obsessed with like UFOs, and you mentioned like in the astro and all this stuff. Like why?
Easy,
You're
easy.
right.
Not obsessed.
But
Not.
you're a
I didn't run
fan.
to like Area 51 or anything.
um,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Like as far as like, because everything about you is like always futuristic, like the way you think too. Even though you still try to live in the present, I feel like you're like ahead of your
Okay.
time type of thing.
I'm gonna sound stupid right now because I just said that joke, but the you saying that right now, honestly, like you asking me that question right now made me think. Um, I saw a UFO at like 10 with my mom, and it was like a
Okay.
very distinct experience.
Mhm.
Um, I've talked about it on my own podcast a bunch of times. A lot of people who follow
Mhm.
me know that
Yeah.
story, but um, maybe I feel like it probably had a lot to do with just thinking about the future,
Mhm.
like seeing something very early on that didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't say I saw aliens or anything. I'm saying I saw a UFO, and
Mhm.
it was very distinct. And I guess like you can't unsee that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you can't really unsee that. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. As funny as it is, the UFO thing probably did have something to do with it.
Yeah.
And then I think my idea about being futuristic, because I consider myself a futurist. I
Mhm.
claim that, like I definitely say that I am a futurist.
Yeah.
And that comes just from watching like my own people, like people from my culture. Um, I'm Mexican American. I see a lot of the stuff that has kept us in a certain level or a certain place in the United States, and a lot of it is like this unwavering grip on things that already happened, and
Yeah.
it's cool to have, like I feel like having pride in where you came from doesn't have anything to do with holding on to that time.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging that time and respecting that time, but holding on to that time is obviously doesn't make any sense if you're moving want to move forward. I want people to move forward, and that's, I guess that's why I'm obsessed with the future.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out, plus the fact that everything that we do, like at least with platform, all the music, everything I do in my life, I really like doing it, and I want to do it for a long time. So I
Yeah.
don't thinking about it being something of the past is just not something that ever computes in my head. So
Yeah.
when it comes to sounds, when it comes to anything, I get excited about like new stuff. So I think that's where the majority of that mentality comes from. It was sparked early by something that made me go and then
Yeah.
it just never really stopped.
Yeah, that's dope, dope. But yes, yeah, your sound is obviously way different than a lot of like the San Diego, the local scene. That's what I think makes you stand out, at least to me. Like from your music, if you even hear the beat, you're like, oh, that's KillcRey, if they even hear a little bit. So it's kind of cool that you
Mm-hmm.
created your own sound. Kind of like shout out to like Ralph Quasar, like he created his own sound too. It's only a certain amount of artists
Yeah,
I think that can
18
do that.
scales.
Yeah, 18 scales. Shout out to
Yeah.
Rick Scales. So what do you want people to take away from this project? Because obviously, like you said, like claustrophobic kind of took a life of its own. It had a different meaning to you, and then other people interpreted like because of COVID and all that, it became super relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want people, or do you just want people to interpret it like the way they see fit to their lives?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably more it than anything. Like if it helps them or if it is something that they feel like they can make room in their life to put it in, I've always said that's enough for me. Like,
Yeah.
I've gotten some really dope messages from people about the record, and people talking about like that they're playing this song or that song like on repeat, or like that's enough. Like I don't really see what more I would want out of it. So I want to continue the conversation about the record, and I'll do that by releasing more art around the record.
Yeah.
And then as long as it's in people's lives and they're enjoying it and they're finding ways to put it in, like
Mm-hmm.
that's been an interesting thing. Like you said, like you alluded to, the how people interpreted songs in their own way. I don't
Yeah.
think we can stop that. So, or
Yeah.
as artists, we can't stop that. Our job is just to put it out there and then they interpret it.
Yeah.
And so that's cool, and that's working. And for me, it's never worked better than it's working right now. So,
That's dope.
I think I feel like it's doing what I wanted it to do. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, and then you just kind of started like this whole little crew with you and Gene Flow, which you guys both co-produced kind of this album too. And you started the
Yeah.
Invisible Ponchos. And you guys performed for the
Yep.
first time at the Casbah. How is that, like, is there anything you can say about that as far as like what you guys are planning to do? Because I know you're focusing right now on Simple, but what's your guys' goal as far as like the Invisible Ponchos?
Um, I think that it's I think we're still working on a lot of stuff. Like really, what the Invisible Ponchos is, and I don't want to leave like Mike Mackey's kind of an Invisible Poncho as well. So, um,
The Three Amigos.
there's others. I feel like it's a way for us. Really, it's just an excuse for us to hang out as friends.
Yeah.
Um, and then plus I think the three of us definitely love the idea that about performing, and not and performing in different ways than like a traditional hip hop group would perform. We like it to be more cinematic. We're into that stuff. Um, and so yeah, I'm interested to see. I think we're gonna do a mixtape as an Invisible Ponchos.
Okay, yeah, I think you
I
mentioned that,
think
yeah.
that's the very next thing that I'm gonna put out. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know what it is yet. I mean, so far the Invisible Ponchos is what we do when we all work together. So a lot of it's on my album. Most of it is the Invisible Ponchos.
Yeah.
Even when I perform when I'm by myself, I'm still like one of the Invisible Ponchos.
Yeah. True, true. Um, and then the last time we spoke, I had asked you obviously because I didn't know you that well back then, like what your name stood for, and you said it represented like killing your ego. And the last time I interviewed, you said you were like in the process of doing that. Like, where are you at with that right now?
Oh, um, I did some DMT the other day. That always helps.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's just a journey, man. That's a
Yeah.
journey. Like this album is killing my ego. I'll tell you that. Like this
Yeah.
album has definitely killed my ego because of the response that I've gotten. It's super. I just can't see how you could be an asshole if people are saying like this nice stuff about things that you created.
Yeah.
Um, it's very humbling. It's a very humbling thing. I keep harping on the idea, but I guess also one of the things is, since mental health has been kind of like a corner of one of the things that I do,
Yeah.
if there's like 4 points of the box, like mental health is definitely one of them. It's something that I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
It's something that I've dealt with in my own life, and I feel like helping other people deal with their own mental health has helped with my own ego. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
That's deep.
One,
Yeah.
you realize you're not that special. Like everybody goes through a struggle. Everybody goes through, some hard times. And because I speak about it openly, I think people are feeling more and more open to speak to me about it.
Mhm.
So, I've had friends, I've had family members. When Claustrophobic came out, I had family members who I haven't really talked to hit me up.
Yeah.
And they hit me up in with the idea of like, yo, I just wanted to say I saw your video, blah blah blah. And then it would inevitably go to like, yeah, man, I've been feeling some things during COVID, and so because it's bringing that kind of stuff out, like I have to like listen to how it makes other people feel. And if I take anything serious, if I take myself serious and the music that I do serious, then I have to like respect that, right? Like that I'm dealing with something that I'm not necessarily always in control of, and so I feel like I have to have some respect for that. And it's hard to have a real ego
Yeah.
when it's not really you. Like it's not really me. I feel like I don't think any of us, none of us, if you're not at least anointed to me, like with some sort of message to put out into the world, then
Mhm.
you just won't. And there's a lot of people who don't. So if you can do that and you have any sort of success or any group of people that love what you do, then that's a blessing. And you have to like
Exactly.
take that super serious, and you have to be humbled by that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just don't know what I'm sure there's like egomaniacs that don't care, but
True.
I just can't function like that. You know,
Yeah.
I worry about when people get hurt about something that I say, and if their feelings get hurt or whatever, I still worry about that. So
Yeah.
it would be really hard for me not to care about all of this. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Then I'm kind of glad you touched on like mental health because that was one of my questions too. Like as a creative, like you said, this project had kind of like a toll on you. Like for you, like for those listening, other artists or creatives that like might be dealing with the same thing when they create or after they're done creating. Like for you, what's like your go-to to like calm your nerves or even before you even go perform or like for you to get like a mental like break day like self-care. Like what's your go-to to go back to like your normal self?
Mm, I was talking to my manager, our manager at Hip Hop Eddie,
Hmm.
about this because he's really been trying to work with me on just taking more compliments better. Like I'm really bad at taking compliments. Not that I'm not polite. It's just I don't feel a whole lot when people say like they really like something because I'm always like, yeah, but do you really like it? You know what I mean? Like in the back of
Yeah.
my head, it's always like, are you just being nice? Like I
Hmm.
still have that. I still have that. I've done tours and festivals, and I still have that. I still
Yeah.
have that with every single thing that I make. So he's been really trying to get me to like first take the flowers. You know what I mean? Accept them,
Yeah.
even if it makes you feel awkward, if it makes you because he's right with everything. You have to put reps in, and if you're not at
Hmm.
least going through the motions and accepting it, I think one of the other things I do anytime I'm feeling really, really bad or down is I'll just like literally go outside, sit on the steps, and just be grateful. You know what I mean? Like think of all the
Yeah.
shit that I'm super grateful for. I realize how lucky it is. But like Eddie said, I think I told Jeffy this, but I was telling my cousins this today, because it was just such a profound thing to say. Like he said that the messengers always suffer, and
Yeah.
if I know that I'm in a job where I'm going to be acting as a messenger sometimes, then maybe the idea isn't beating yourself up about feeling stressed or knowing that things feel very important to you or big to you.
Yeah.
Maybe the better way to handle it is accept the fact that that job comes with those things
Hmm.
and make yourself tougher. Like
True.
figure out ways to clear your mind more, to attack it. Like that's really what it is. You have to
Hmm.
attack mental health before it attacks you. And
That's
for
deep.
somebody who was
Yeah.
like defeated by it for a long time,
Hmm.
I know it's true because if you don't put up the fight, you'll lose. You'll lose. A lot of my favorite artists have lost. You
Yeah.
know, but I just don't. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like when I look at when I think about like art, like I think about um a lot of the artists who've lost their lives, Mac Miller, Chris Cornell, like
Yeah.
two of my favorite artists ever before they killed themselves. And I never dreamed that they would do that. And
Yeah.
so to know like, damn, they had this life, a light, like literally a light, an anointed light is off the planet now. You can only hear their voices, but they're no longer creating anything. that
Yeah.
that woke me up. Like the idea of not being able to create anything is enough for me to not want to go anywhere. And so I don't embrace the darkness anymore. Like I'm not a person who wants to like be all emo and like I don't want to do that shit. That will kill
Yeah.
you. If you
Yeah.
hug that shit, if you make that part of your everyday life, and you find all your creativity within darkness, then you're dooming yourself. So
Yeah.
I'm trying not to do that a lot. I'm trying not to embrace it. I try to like put it, on a record and then let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
And which is why holding on to the record for that long, you can see why that would make sense, like why it was
Yeah.
so
It's
painful,
like you
because I
holding
couldn't
on to
let it
that.
go. I had to sit with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's your
And so
emotions. Like
yeah,
that's how
but
we
yeah,
do.
I would
Like,
tell
right?
people,
Yeah.
yeah, I would tell people just to like, they have to. I One thing I'm super bad at
Mhm.
is just reaching out. I know I'm really really bad at reaching out to people. Um, I I'm I've always had a habit of like taking care of people.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to get, like I said, I'm just trying to get better at that. I think that, you know what, the best advice is just don't stop trying to get better at it. Like I'm trying to get better at it. I
Yeah.
admit like that I don't do those things, and I admit that I'm open to trying it, and I'm gonna keep trying it. But damn if it doesn't make me feel awkward as fuck,
Yeah.
like it's always awkward to me to like ask for help, or just get help or get compliments or any of that shit. It makes me feel really weird.
Yeah, and I get you. I think I'm the same way, but I think it might come from like the culture we come from. Because like I think when I was telling you about me, like
Yeah.
for where I got bullied or whatever it may be, like we're told kind of as a culture, like handle it on your own. It's especially I think
Yep.
the Mexican culture, like
Yeah.
especially for you being a man,
Yeah.
like the whole machistas where
Hmm.
they're like, you don't cry, you can't do this, you can't do that. So all that is kind of engraved, and then you kind of
Right.
have to like
You definitely
rewire.
don't bring the problem home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because you're obviously like a consistent artist, even just like you said that you can't be tied down, you always want to do what you want, you go for your dreams, which is admirable. um
Yep.
what
Yep.
was your childhood like what shaped that work ethic and drive in you?
Mm, Not having that, I think,
Mm-hmm.
got me that.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to know that I wasn't getting that necessarily. Like I don't. I come from a single parent. My mom worked most of her life.
Okay.
Um, she's only like now been able to like retire, and like, and even then, it's not like we're not like a rich family. We've always struggled.
Yeah.
But she was tending to life, so there wasn't a whole lot of lessons on how to like maneuver life for me. Like I didn't have anybody telling me what to do with anything.
Yeah.
So even though it took a long time to figure it out, and I failed a lot at a lot of things, the one thing that I am confident in is that I know what I'm doing. Um,
Yeah.
and and so that the work ethic just goes with the idea that I got very early on in this. Like I was exposed to a lot of artists that were like really doing this at a very young age and for a long time. I've had that around me. So
Yeah.
once I started to see friends and peers find real success, um, it was at first it was overwhelming, the thought of like how much it really takes. Like it
Yeah.
takes a lot. Like you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes more than a lot of people are willing to admit.
Yeah.
Because if they have to admit how much it takes, they might have to admit that they're not up for the task. And I think
Exactly.
that's the biggest fear for a lot of artists.
Mm-hmm.
And so that work ethic just came from knowing. Like that's the best way I could say it. I know how much it takes. I know when I'm not doing enough. Like people think I do a lot right now. I don't think I'm doing enough. So if you think I'm doing a lot and you don't do as much as me, then know for sure I know you're not in a position to make it, because you have to create your position to make it. And
Mm-hmm.
there are people doing way more than me that deserve more than I do because they're doing way more than me. So
Yeah.
my goal is to get to a place where I feel is comfortable with what I'm getting and with what I'm putting out.
Yeah.
That's the goal for me. That whatever I'm putting out, whatever's coming back is equal to that at least. And it's getting there. And so I just know that it takes a lot, and if I'm going to stay in this business, there's no time to like kick it.
Yeah. No
This is
breaks.
not like a fun this is not like a fun place to be, like as far as like you don't come here to like not work. You know,
Exactly.
like in this business, you come here if you can work 24 hours a day, that's the people that they want, you know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, shout out to your mom because I mean, you grew up watching her work, so obviously that kind of also played a part and, shaped you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. She had the put your head down and just do the job
yeah,
mentality, you know. And I think I probably got that from her, and you know, and my grandmother too. Like I was really,
yeah.
really, really close with my grandmother.
Okay.
Um, and she was a worker, dude. She worked till she was not like a job. Like she started in the canneries, like literally in
Oh
Logan
wow,
Heights, at the beginning of Logan Heights,
that's
the
crazy.
canneries that built the area.
Uh-huh.
That's where she worked, and prior to that, her mom and her, like my grandparents, worked on a
Mhm.
farm like in Mexico. So
Yeah.
that part I think was just kind of instilled.
Mhm.
Finding finding a passion to put it to is
Exactly.
something new in my family.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like
Yeah.
I'm the first one in my family to do that.
Yeah, like to do something you love versus just doing something that you gotta do to provide for your family.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yep. And my goal is to like break the cycle for the kids in my family. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Yeah.
kids. I have a lot of my cousins have kids and we're all very close. So we in fact I literally just met with my cousins today about that topic, and we all kind of just pledged to each other that like we're for the kids coming up in our family, they're not going to
Mhm.
know any no's. Like, and we're
Yeah.
not going to make them suffer to get the knowledge. Like I suffered so they don't have to suffer. I want to
Yeah.
hook them up. um, I really, really want to hook them up so that they can have that. Because I think one of the bad parts of our culture, and I'm speaking for myself, when I think it's the fact that we make we make our kids jump through hoops. Like we feel like they have to
Mhm.
suffer to really appreciate something. And what that is I think it's parenting being lazy, not showing what appreciation really is. Like you can show someone what appreciation is through love. Like not you don't have to do that through pain. But
True.
you know, we come from parents who had limited parenting skill other than like I need to keep my kid alive.
Yeah,
You know, I
that's
need to
true.
keep them alive. I need to feed them. Beyond that, it was everything was, you know, it was whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever asked like how I felt as a young kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one ever told me like, but how do you feel? Like how do
That's
you feel inside? That just
yeah.
wasn't something. So I'm obsessed with it now. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it, with the idea of what feelings mean. Like what is why do we have them? Like what do they mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can relate to that because yeah, same here. Like I want to break the cycle of like doing the 9 to 5 because that's what you supposedly like the job everybody needs to get an office job, especially like where we come from, like people working in the fields and stuff like that. So I think that's why the office job came as like something better in their mind. But for
Right.
me, like I instill is
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. That was an
follow, right?
upgrade.
Is like follow your dreams type of shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
do something you love, not to just clock in and get a paycheck and then you're like fucking feel sad after you clock out for the day. So it was kind of funny because talking about like your family, my nephew Jackson, shout out to my family and my twin sister. So he came over last week or 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago. And then I think I was playing one of my songs or something, and he's like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "It's me." And he was like super surprised because, like, you never think of stuff like that, like somebody can do something like that, like
Yeah,
somebody
that's
from your
dope.
family. So I thought
Yeah,
that was dope. And they
you
were
just blew
actually, I
his
was,
mind. You
right?
blew his mind.
Exactly. And then I think I was watching you guys on Chrissy's internet, and he's like, "Who is that?" It's like, "Oh, those are my friends." And he's like, "Oh, they're so silly." And he was like laughing at what you guys were saying. So I thought it was cool, like to expose
Mm-hmm.
him to something like that, because a lot of people, like you said, don't have
Yeah.
like the privilege or whatever to have something like that to start breaking the cycle and passing on to like future generations. So that's really dope.
Yeah, I think if you don't, if a kid can't see and touch something in reality, it's very hard. You know, I
Mhm.
remember I went to, I was like the first person in my family to go to college, and I remember being there and thinking about that one time of like, how can more people like me who come from where I come here? And I always remember, and this is like a goal of mine. One day I'm going to do this. Like I want to make a college tour for people from like neighborhoods like mine where I grew up.
Mhm.
Um, and I want them to do the tour at night, not during the day. Like during the day, you're just showing them another school. I could see why a young kid at that age is not going to be hyped about that.
Yeah.
Show them what it looks like at night, though. Show them what it looks at how like this is where you can learn a lot of things about being adult and like being and socializing and learning how to like deal with the opposite sex and like
Yeah.
like all these things that are gonna, you know, like you're gonna need this stuff through life. College, obviously, I didn't even use my degree. Obviously,
Same here.
I'm in this business. It wasn't in this business. It was in sociology and psychology. Um, but there, I use my college education all the time. I use
Oh
it
yeah.
all the time because I learned there about dealing with people and different types of
Mhm.
people. And I think what happens a lot of the times, if you stay on the block or stay on the neighborhood, you're only exposed to a certain type of person, you know, more
That's
so
true.
than others. And so it's super. I'm constantly preaching for like my friends who, you know, are still in the neighborhood to just get off the go to another country, do anything,
Yeah.
because you have to see that there's way more out there. And I think starting like a program like that, it's always been a dream of mine, like to take kids to like really have fun, and so that sometimes the fun is the thing you hook them with, and
Yeah.
then like the lessons are the things they stay for, you know.
That's true. That's dope. And then I wanted to ask you too, like, I started asking this question on the podcast, but what do you feel like it's something that you have improved on as you continue to grow as like an artist or as even just a creative?
mm, I stop looking at what other people do when I'm making the stuff that I'm making for me. Like it doesn't affect me anymore. Um, I've always said this. Like I came up with people who could really bar out. Like I know some top level MCs.
Hmm.
Um, but just barring out wasn't something that ever like really interested me. It just didn't. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not even like that. I just don't have that kind of energy. You know, and that's not what comes through for me,
Yeah.
right? Like that's just not when I sit there and ask for a song to come to me and I'm playing a beat and I'm asking that song to come to me, that's just not what comes to me. This is what comes to me. And so I think the thing that I've grown the most on is just being able to accept that. And I,
Yeah.
as a musician, I realized that accepting that is what created my sound. So I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that I've become good at. I know how to do what I'm doing. Like I know that I can do it every time. I can make it every time. I recorded, um, I mean, no bullshit. I recorded 8 tracks for the album. That's what I recorded. That's
Yeah.
what I put out. Like
Yeah.
that was it. There's no demos. There's no nothing. Like that is what I recorded is what I put out. And I can do that anytime I want
Yeah.
because that part I've accepted. Like, oh, that is part of you. That's your hookup. You got hooked up to be able to do that. Um, and then as far as like my formula of putting together a song, I think I've accepted that as well. Like, I don't ever rap about anything that I don't. If you talk to me and you know me, and then you listen to my album, you know it's the same. It's
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, I've probably if I've been in your life, I've probably talked to you about everything that's on that album at some point.
Yeah. Like
So
you live
it's
your
that
art.
is really who
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's what I've gotten good at. I wasn't always good at that. I was too busy looking at what other people were doing.
Yeah. And what about like, because obviously on this one it was a solo project, so you didn't have any features as far as like other
Hmm.
people rapping. Since you say obviously you know people that bar out and stuff like that, but you like rapping like in more like simple ways for people to grasp to it, and that's kind
Hmm.
of the way you makes you unique. For features, because I know you had a couple features on the singles. Um, for that,
Yep.
like, do you look for people that are in the same kind of like arena as you, or do you like also people that bar out, or how does that work if in the future if you were to have features?
Nah, they just got to be like they. For one, for me, they have to see the vision of what I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
Like if they're able to like say watch like this interview or listen to my record or watch any of the things that I do and go like, oh, I get, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and they're able to convey that to me,
Yeah.
um then I usually am attracted to wanting to do something with them because I'm always eager to like add on to what I'm doing. So if I'm like, yo, they have a voice that's kind of like mine, or they have like a thought process that's kind of like mine, and they don't sound like me,
Hmm.
and they're original, then that's usually the way it lines up. I mean, that's what I'm gonna be doing probably a lot of features over these next few months because I'm finally gonna catch up with doing those
Yeah.
with a lot of the artists that I want to work with, and it's going to be super diverse. Like
Yeah.
I have records with, like, again, like some of the best rappers, and then um, are rappers who focus mostly on like barring out, and then there's other rappers. I call them the best just because I think people. I mean, they are like they.
Yeah.
If you're just about putting together words and like,
Mhm.
I know some of the best ever to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I think Rick Scales is one of those people. I think Kali is one of those people. I think
Yeah.
they put it together the best. But I also like when people are helping me understand what they're trying to say instead of
Yeah.
making it just challenging.
Yeah.
It's I feel like the art that I'm making right now is perfect for this time when people need help, and if
True.
you make that hard for them, you're helping less people. There isn't any way around that. You might be helping what you consider like people who get you, but you're not helping more people. You're definitely helping less people. And then I think, one of the ironies about Simple is that the whole thing is super hard to make. Like that album was super
True.
hard to make. So,
Yeah.
um, and I think whenever the response I'm getting from other artists is like, has been dope because I think a lot of the artists get what I was trying to do. They
Yeah.
understand it now, and I think that was probably the most important thing about this record. It's why I probably needed to make it, is so that people could see that I can make like the large painting or the large movie if I want to,
Yeah.
and make a very clear statement. And I think that's what I did. And I think if most artists, um, we struggle with that, right? Like we're trying to put what's in our head in front of everybody else,
Mhm.
and that it's hard. It's super
Yeah.
it's super hard,
Yeah.
and I think I have a formula that I go to that is super simple for me,
Yeah.
but if you break it down on paper, it's very complicated.
Complicated.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of different pieces. It's a lot. It's deep.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and like for you, what song would you pick that represents you and your style that you would recommend to like a first time listener?
I'm always wrong on this. I feel like I feel like I'll be like, this is my favorite song, and then like I like, again, like Claustrophobic, last song recorded. It was literally the last song I did.
Yeah.
Um and that suddenly became like the first single. I felt like it was just a good opening statement.
Yeah.
Um and then I was really eager to get that out and then move right into the next video, and now I've been writing this video for a few days now. Like it got, over 1,000 views in that first week, and um people are like sharing it consistently. So I'm eager to watching that grow. I want to see that grow for a
Yeah.
little bit. And I think I've told some other people this, that I think it's probably going to change for me. That's why I'm kind of hesitant to say it, but like right now, Same is like one of my favorite songs, but it's only cuz um Same for me feels like a workout a little bit. It's a
Yeah.
little more aggressive, it's a little more, but it was how I felt after the record. Like, fuck, finally, like, fuck,
Yeah.
like you're finally gonna hear what I have to say. um and I knew submitting the record, once I got it to what I had, like, I knew what I had. Like, I didn't put it out because I thought it wasn't good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I knew what I had. And I knew that there's a good possibility that I made an album with a lot of singles, maybe 6 singles. There's 2 interludes on it, but I might have made 6 singles. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to at least give them all a chance to be singles. And um, I know people are like, a lot of people have shown like a lot of love to Meditation. That's not wasn't I knew that, but that song was really out of the box, and it didn't sound like a normal hip hop song that you might hear.
Yeah.
um the sounds were different, everything about it was different, but for some reason people have gravitated to that. I know your sister loves that song. Like,
Yeah.
she's constantly telling me that, but I think it probably just hit people at the right time again. Like, it was
Mhm.
because that song is about everything, like, really life being a meditation, and
Yeah.
how you can make it that. And I think that people might like that. So When it
Yeah.
comes to my favorite right now, it's same only because I play that the most. But I'm pretty sure it'll change.
Yeah. Yeah. And meditation, I think you're right. Like, I feel like sonically, that's like the standout track as far as like the sound. That's the only one that kind of stands out because it has a different
Mm.
sound than the other records. The other ones kind of flow, but once
Yeah,
you get to that one, it's kind of different. So I don't know, maybe like the sonics of it or what it is, or like what the lyrics, people gravitate towards it.
it even the place like which this is one of the cool things that I did like about making the record is that people have been listening to it in order at least the
Mm-hmm.
first time, um and that's been really cool. So
Yeah.
meditation is in a spot on the record where everything changes. Like it is the change.
It's like the
Like if
transition.
you
Yeah.
see claustrophobic is a very dark, it's a dark place. Blast off is literally about DMT and about trying to push your mind to a higher level and the understanding of how that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the blast off, you know, like when you get into like meditation and simple, like it kind of goes in order. And Gene Flow, I credit Gene Flow and Mike Mackey for seeing that. Like I sent them the songs and I said, what order do you see this in? And they
Yeah.
both kind of came back with like a consensus of like, look, what from what you're saying to the way it feels like this is the story. And they
Yeah.
were right. Like when it came out, where everything's sad is where you should take it in if you
Yeah.
heard the song right before it,
Yeah.
you know? Um and I think that's why maybe it's where meditation is at on the record, you know, like it's almost I told them like if claustrophobic is like the opening credits, then like meditation is like the change of the movie. Like the movie changes right there. Like
Yeah. The
after that everything
transition.
is a little different. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you do like filmmaking too, like, jack of all trades and everything. You did the music video for like Claustrophobic and Never Heard It on your phone, which I think for me at least it was the first
Yep.
time I ever heard of somebody doing that. It was very inspiring, but
Yeah.
what was it difficult, tedious? Like, did you enjoy it, or what did you think of it?
Um, so Never Heard It was shot on regular cameras and a phone, but it was edited on a phone. And then this time around, I shot the video on a phone, edited it on a phone, and then I took it onto a computer and colorized it a little bit, and
Mhm.
that was it. But yeah, I like filming with a phone.
Mhm.
Only because being able to film something dope with the phone encourages me to film more.
Yeah.
Whereas like with my camera, um, and this is it sounds silly, but for me it matters. Like my camera's in a bag, it needs a battery. You got to put the lens on it. You
Mhm.
got to put the strap on it. You got to hold it. You got to. There's all the. If I can eliminate the steps, for
Yeah.
me, it's easier for me to get things out. It's why, to this day, I still record on my own. I bought everything I need to record and master and do everything. So I don't go to studios not because I don't like working with other people. It's just because I don't want them to have to wait for me. Like I want to do it at the pace I have to do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you want me to sound the way that I sound. If you want that me to sound that way, are you working with me because of the way I sound? The way to get that, there's a certain way that I get that, and
Yeah.
so I have to be able to do that. um but yeah, it's like I think it's all like it's kind of like all like a process, you know, that
Yeah.
I'm still working on them, you know. I know you said didn't you say you started to like play around with not writing as well, right? Like you've played
Yeah.
around with
I
it.
want. Yeah.
How do
Sometimes
you
like
feel about it? Like
it's cool because I think you even it helps you with your memory too, like memorizing the lyrics better than, and you
yeah,
don't sound like you're
yeah, big
reading.
time.
Yeah. So it gives you like a better flow.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to do that. But it's kind of hard because it's like a
Yeah.
habit where I write first, Um, like I'm
Yep.
working on a new project, and for that one I wrote, but now I'm gonna try to see if like moving forward, I know I want to do a separate one where I was like more melodic, and that one for sure I want to try like doing what you do, where you just like record first and then write down the lyrics to see
Yep.
what comes out.
Yeah. I think if I'm making a record about, you know, like I talk about being a futurist, and I'm at least trying to be within the moment.
Mhm.
The way to really, really get that energy for me is to record in the moment. Like And I always feel like the way I say things are, you just catch magic sometimes,
Yeah,
you know, like you
that's
catch
true.
magic, like your voice, like on Claustrophobic. When I say claustrophobic on the song, there's a at the end, like claustrophobic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that was just a mistake. And the I stutter a word on there. I say so. I can feel. You know what I mean? Like I say
Yeah,
that, but that was a mistake. That's it. I stutter sometimes.
yeah,
Occasionally comes out, and that was in the song. Had I just written it down and had a way like I wanted to say it, I probably would have never considered leaving it in.
yeah.
And now I know it's one of the things that drives if that imagine the hook without that now, and it doesn't sound the same.
That's
So for
true.
me, like making music, one of the funnest parts about making music is catching fire. They call it catching fire. Like, you know, like you just catch that little bit of magic in the room, and if you can get it down on recording, and you can make it live forever.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
there's only one way to really do that, and you have to be like in the moment. I feel like when you have the piece of paper in front of you or a pen in front of you, you usually got an eraser or you can scratch shit out.
Mhm.
Um, and so it kind of puts your brain in a certain place to correct anything you think might be a little off. Where I tend to lean on the things that might be a little off, you know, because I feel like that's, if the audience is listening, they know they're really feeling me. Like they know, like this is really me. This is how I talk. This is how I sound. Like this is how my voice, sounds.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, yeah, there's only one way to get that in it, and it's to not write.
Yeah. And even like sometimes the first take, because I did that I think with the track Floor on my first EP, where like the hook it just came out
Mm,
like that. But I noticed
yeah,
like I think I actually kept like the first take, which is crazy because like you said it's like
I
some
think
sort
you
of
did too.
magic.
I
Yeah.
think I remember that.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's pretty
Yeah.
dope that
And
the
so
way the brain
imagine
works.
imagine if you had written and you were like, I want it, it has to be exactly like this thing. Your brain would have already been in that spot, and you probably would have deleted that, or oh, I for sure would have deleted the stutter, but
Yeah.
because it just flowed out, and I was like, yo, that sounds crazy, like that it
Yeah.
came out like that. And again, that was just because of that, because I'm literally sitting in front of a mic with my eyes closed, trying to see what comes out,
Yeah.
and then it just starts. The I'll tell you this, man, this is the part that always kills me about the studio. It's the part that can frustrate me, but I think I'm getting really good at it now, in that I'll push through it because I know what's on the other side. But the most excruciating part still to me is thinking of the first line. Like from hearing the beat to when I finally get the very first opening line,
Yeah.
that shit is so painful. I feel like such a loser. I feel like I can't rap for shit. I can't think. How can I not think of the opening fucking line? You know what I
It's
mean?
always the hardest though, I
But that is
think.
always how it is.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah,
the hardest for
it's
me.
always the hardest.
Yeah, because once you get like that first, it's weird. Like once you get that first sentence, everything else just like flows. Like
Yeah,
at least
and
for
then
me
it's
when
all
I'm
good.
writing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and so that part like has like in the past would always get me like depressed because I start doubting.
Yeah.
But now I know the process of how the music comes to me.
Mhm.
So it'll literally, I'll just sit there, and it's almost like Eddie says it looks like a trance when I'm doing it. Like I'll just sit there and keep listening, and then it finally just starts to come out. It starts to mumble first, like I'll start mumbling first, making noises, like, and then like it comes out, and then once that comes out, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll usually get the first few lines out and then go and take a break, because I'll have worked so hard to just get those that I'll
Yeah.
need a break. And then, but after that, it's usually fine. But getting those first few, that especially the first line, like the first line is so important to me. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like when you write the essay, like that's pretty much the most important part because that's the one that like the people are gonna hear. Because I think it said somebody said it's like the first 15 or 30 seconds of a song is what grabs someone's attention. That's just crazy, especially with people's attention span now.
Yeah, like someone said me about like the like one of the things I can share, at least that I've gotten so far, is at least 4 or 5 people have told me the opening line to Meditation, which is everything I do on is on some ghetto shit. Like that, just saying that, people felt like, I think, like people always like kind of like chuckle about that, or they're just like, oh, that's dope. Like,
Yeah.
but that was like that to me. It was about the very next line. Like I said, I rock hella stress to my benefit, because that's what, to me, doing ghetto shit is like we have a lot of stress, and we have to figure out a way to like rock that to our benefits.
Yeah.
And and just to get that one line, that very first line, it was like, damn, it took forever. But when it happened,
Yeah.
I stopped. One of the things I stopped doing is going like, that's ridiculous, because usually that would be my response to a line like that. When it came into my head, I'd be like, I'm not saying that. But now, as soon as I start to feel like, oh, I'm not saying that, I say that, because I'm like, that's going to be the line.
Yep.
Like, if you feel a little weird or scared about saying it, you should probably just say it, because
Just
that's
keep
probably
it.
going to be the thing that
Yeah.
connects with people the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like it has,
That's dope. And then I don't know if you caught on the chat yesterday for your interview with Jeffy. I think it might have been one of Tumex's like fans, because a lot of the fans from Tumex, when we'll get in a little bit, like have been gravitating towards your guys'
Yeah,
too and everything. I think one of I don't know if it was a Tumex
yeah.
fan or it might have not been. They were like hashtag KillcRey is an icon, which I thought was fucking dope to see that there.
Mm,
Um, which and I was gonna bring that up about Tumex. You know, like how you guys started the Tumex TV. You guys helped him connect with his fans on a different level, but you also started doing like Tumex TV. And even Melly said like she feels like
yeah,
kind
too
of
much
Tumex.
cinema.
Yeah, Tumex Cinema. Shout out to that show on the Platform Collection YouTube
Mm.
channel. Melly said that it feels like Tumex kind of passed the baton to you a little bit, and then I've seen like the fans growing with Platform Collection because of that, which is really dope. Like, how do you feel about that?
Mm, I think, yeah, I wouldn't say he passed the baton to me. I think Alex has been my friend for a while. And it took a while for us to be friends, really. I think we were just like acquaintances
Yeah,
at first, and then kind of people who just work together. But I consider him a friend now, and I'm not I'm not. I don't see it as like him passing the baton or anything. I see it as like, really, we're just tending his garden right now for while he's recovering,
yeah,
and it just so happens that his audience appreciates that. They know that we're trying to really hold it down for him on some, like, who else is going to do it? You know what I mean?
yep,
Really, like, if we don't do it, who's gonna do it? My boy needs to keep that fire going.
mhm,
He can't necessarily do it right now, so we're gonna do it. People like Parker were already fans, like huge fans of Tumex, so it seems super, you know, reasonable to bring Parker in. And then, like, all of you guys, I've seen how they started. His audience has started to feed into everybody in Platform Collection. Like,
yep,
to it, dude. There's nothing doper to me that when you guys jump into a chat room, there's like 3 or 4 people that write in caps, 7 Octoberz, what up, 7 October, like
yeah,
that's. I was talking to Gene about that today. If you're a fan and you feel like, for some reason, like, you want to write somebody's name in caps and give them love,
yep,
I mean, I gotta ask you, like, when's the last time you felt like that? And so how powerful that is. Like,
yeah,
that some people go through their whole lives never feeling that about anything.
that's
And
true.
so the fact that they feel like that about us, my thing is, I'm just super, super thankful to the fans of Tumex. I think, um,
Yeah, same here.
it's crazy because he has such rabid fans, and fans that are like, that whole, my fan base will destroy you.
Yeah,
Um,
they're like diehard
and
fans. Yeah,
but yeah, but the reality is, the people that I've met are just really, really good people. Obviously, his
mhm,
music attracts that type of person, people who think out of the box, think out of, and no secret, we're obviously in Platform Collection together. I've seriously been thinking about, like, I'm watching that audience now.
yeah,
I mean, and going like, who I want to empower some of these people who might just be natural promoters. Like,
yeah,
they're not afraid to say what they like. They throw it up in caps, and they're telling you, like, I like this shit. I like 7 October shit. Yeah, 7 October's, like, I like that. That's, yeah. How can you hate on that at all? Like,
yeah,
I think that we probably need, the challenge in this next year will be how to empower some of these people to be able to do that, maybe full time, and
mhm,
maybe empower some of these people to be like, yo, like, come work for us, like, come join our team, or come, I'm
Yeah.
always looking for that kind of stuff. And I think with like Tumex's audience, because they've been dealing with such an icon like Tumex,
Yeah.
they expect a level of art that they feel is original. Like that's what they like. It has
Mhm.
to look different than everybody else. It has to sound different than everybody else. That's what they really respect. And so I think if anything, what happened was we just found our people. Like it wasn't
True.
that like Tumex passed the baton to us. Like he helped us find our people, and part of that was by him shining a light on us,
True.
going telling his people like you should know about these people. Like these are
Yeah.
good people. These are people making dope shit. And you know, like I know you've met him, you spent time with him. Like he doesn't have to do any of that.
Mhm.
They literally does not have to do any of that, and nobody would think any different. Like they would, we would just never exist in that world, and nobody would miss it. But the fact that we are in that world now and making a real connection, and then adding our audience, because that's the other thing. You know, he makes sure to remind me about this all the time too. Is our audience found him,
Yeah.
so now that those audiences are together now. You know, I can tell you this: like San Diego knows Tumex because of a lot of the stuff that we do. You know, we were constantly promoting Tumex in our city and in LA and the IE. Um, so yeah, I no, I don't think he passed the baton. He shouldn't,
Yeah.
because he's not done. He's got
Yeah.
like a
Exactly.
lot of shit to do, and I don't want that. I don't want that fucking baton.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I want to make my own thing, and I
Yeah.
think the audience is allowing us to do that, and I love them.
I think the connection's off a little bit. You froze. Hold on. All right.
Did you
Can you
drop
hear
out?
me? Yeah. You kind of like froze a little bit.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Here we go. I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, I definitely I love that audience for everything that they've done for us. I can't help but love them for that. You know,
Yeah, I appreciate him as well, and obviously it shows a lot about, like you said, Two Mex's character and as a person, like him
right?
allowing his audience to support us too, which is dope. So it's good to see, like you said, like the mesh of like the platform collection, the I guess the supporters that we had now mixed with like Two Mex. So that's like
Yep.
beautiful to see that. Um, and
Yeah,
everybody
and
gravitating.
like Tumex, I think for him, somebody said that in the chat room, like they were just half joking, but I believe it too. Like Tumex has never been fresher. Like Tumex is fresh as fuck right now.
Yeah,
And there's it's crazy for me to meet like younger artists and go like, hey, have you heard of Tumex? Like he's new, but to me that's a win. Like that's dope. That means like he's gonna have a whole nother generation to grow with again. Like how many
yeah,
generations does one man get? You know,
yeah,
like he's gotten a lot, and it's to his credit because he's kind of showing um at least the world how to like how you grow older in hip hop. Like this is kind of how you do it. You know, like you keep making cutting edge shit.
yeah,
You're not old in hip hop until you stop doing that. You know.
yeah. That's true. Um, And you obviously run the other shows on the platform, Chris Sees the Internet, which we mentioned briefly, Crappy Awesome Podcast. But Chris Sees the Internet, like you said that it took you like a few years. You had been thinking about the idea and it took you a few years to finally like launch it. Where did that concept come from, and like where do you see the show going in the future?
mm, yeah, the concept was just I've been doing Crappy Awesome for 8 years now. I think I got Reverie this weekend, and she's gonna be close to 400. I think 400 episodes.
Oh well.
And that's been a voyage into other people's lives and artistic thinking. Really, it was a study on the artistic mind. Crappy Awesome has been a study on the artistic mind. But a lot of people like Rev is the record holder as far as being on the show the most times. I think it's showed she's going to break the record when she comes on this weekend.
Yeah,
We were her first podcast that she ever did, and we've caught her at every point of her career. She's come on and told her story, so she's like literally
yeah,
has a book on Crappy Awesome, you know.
that's crazy.
Um, but as things have started to happen, and I wanted to show the audience that there was other things going on. And so I kind of needed a show where I could do whatever I wanted to do. So that was the idea that was there all the time. Chris Sees the Internet, honestly, 100% um, came to me on a night when I was kicking it with Mike Mackey, and I was like, Mike Mackey would make an amazing co-host. Like,
Yeah.
literally, that was the idea. I was like, I need to figure out somehow to make Mike Mackey a co-host on something. And I was like, well, this would be a great time to start this thing. I also was been working on like getting Eddie out in front of the camera more, and like, because Eddie, people don't know like Eddie's joking all the time. You know, like people don't get that until after you hang out with him for a while, that he's always kind of making a joke. Like,
Yeah, he's
always,
like,
he's one of the funniest people I
I
know.
was gonna say that, like, he's funny, like, without wanting to be funny. He's like one of those people that are just naturally funny. He's not even meaning to be funny, but he comes out as
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, because his demeanor is so like, Eddie doesn't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he's just about like the people that he loves and the things he loves, and everything beyond that, he just does not give a shit. Um, and I thought I wanted people to see like how funny he was, and then we originally brought Mike in to be kind of like a correspondent, so he was never in studio with me. He was always outside, and that became kind of its own thing as well. People liked how he'd be like in Korea or like in
Yeah.
France or
Yeah.
like under the water. Like he'd always like be streaming from somewhere.
Yeah.
But things really changed when I brought him into the studio, and once we got to sit in the same room together, I think in fact, I know like the last Chris Sees the Internet that we did, which was just last week, was the best show we ever did. And
Yeah.
I've heard it from the audience. I think we
I
found like our
agree.
groove.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. And I also feel like we're probably having one of the most open, honest conversations on the internet, on any podcast. I think we're talking about some really deep things, and
Hmm.
all of us are super open to talk
Yeah.
about whatever. You know, like the guys, they're both married and have kids. You know, I'm the single one on the show, and they've talked about their families and the struggles and stuff. And you can't, in our world, first of all, I think if you just pitch that to a rapper in our world, they'd be like, why would I want to make a show that doesn't, what's that have to do with rapping? What's that have to do with? But I think, yeah, Platform Collection, we've never been in the hip hop game more than we're in the people game.
True.
And it just so happens that hip hop is our soundtrack. You know, it's it's what I grew up on. It's my soundtrack. It's what I love. I love the culture. I have a ton of respect for the culture, and so that might be our language. Hip hop might be our language, but what we
Hmm.
talk about is stuff that anybody can relate to. And I think Chris Sees the Internet. I've always told people this, and you know this now too, right? Like you know this for sure. If you really want to test how well you're doing as a rapper, do something non-rapper, and then
True.
you'll see. If you really want to test how successful you're going to be in this entertainment business, go stray away from the main thing you do for a little bit and try some other shit, and you'll see if people follow you or not into that. And I think one of the things that we've proven at Platform Collection is every one of our artists, the audience follows them into everything they're doing. It's
Yeah.
not just about music. You know, they've been watching you in podcast form and listening to you in podcast form way before they heard your music, and now
True.
they're able to rediscover you as a musician, and then as people are discovering you as a musician, they discover you as a host again. and and if they can take in all those things and they see that all as one thing,
Yeah.
to me that's skill. Like that's a big skill. Anyone can be good at one thing, you know.
True.
But I think the real test is to be able, like I said, to will your audience follow you though? And if
Hmm.
they don't follow you, then there's more work you got to do, you know. But I think we've gotten that down packed. Like again, our live streams, dude. This is what I think about this concept. And I was telling Gene this today.
Hmm.
This past week, we did Chris Sees the Internet on Sunday. Gene did Talk and Chop. Right? You did a show.
Yeah.
You released a show. Right?
Yeah.
Um, what else? What else? I released a video. I did an interview. Right? We did Tumex Cinema. Every single one of those things, the audience followed every single one of them.
Yeah. I saw that.
Like by the
Yeah.
time we got to my interview, which was like the last thing of the week, all those people were in that chat room. They were all in that chat. It poured over. I looked at Gene on Tuesday. They were all in his chat room. They
Mm-hmm.
were partying so hard in that chat room, having so much fun. When they got to me and Parker on Wednesday at 2Mex TV, they were all excited already. It was almost as like, think about this concept. Like Chris Sees the Internet and Gene Flo almost opened up for 2Mex Cinema, and then 2Mex Cinema opened up for like my interviews, and it's working the same. It's almost the same thing as a show, except people are able to spread it out on their own time, watch it on their own time, line it up how they want. And again, I think that's a big accomplishment on our part. I know it's something that we've always wanted to do, and
Yeah.
now they did that. And but what I was saying is, they took in a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 10 hours of our content within a 5-day period. 10 hours, and they're there from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what I
like,
mean? And that's a lot to be thankful for. You know?
yeah, and I agree. And it's like pretty much like I remember you talking about like platform TV, like which you had, and then Parker with his KPBS kind of
Mm-hmm.
merged into that, but or morphed into that. But I do agree with that.
Yep.
Like it seems like it's pretty much like like our own channel, pretty much, because everybody has
Mm-hmm.
something to watch,
Yeah.
and it's everybody's different. It's like a diverse group of people we have. Like I do like the hip hop
Yep.
and horror.
It's more like real life,
Yep.
right? Like it's
Yep.
more like it's how you are, and nobody in their real life only hangs out with one type of. And if you do, you're super boring. Like
Yeah.
all my friends are very different. It's what we like about each other, is that nobody is stepping over on anybody else. Everybody has their own thing. We can enjoy each other's thing. It for me, it helps me enjoy my friends' things in that it doesn't look like my thing. And
Yeah.
so since it doesn't look like my thing, I'm able to fully like immerse myself in my friend's stuff. And I think we've been able. I do that with all. I told Gene this the other day. Like your show, his show. I am a fan. Like I'm a real fan. I watch them. I know what you guys talk about. I know the questions you like to ask. I know,
Yeah.
I know the jokes you make with your audience. I know all those things. So I know if it's working for me, and I'm a junkie for the internet, I
Yeah.
get why people like it, because they
Yeah.
know that these are 100% real people. They really, really do know each other. They really are. When we're not on air, we're friends. We talk all the time. We're always communicating with each other, whether it's just to tell you to have a good day. Like sometimes we just do that.
Yeah.
And I forget sometimes that being a part of something like that is so rare.
That's
Most
true.
people don't even
So
have friends like that,
yeah.
like that even check on them all the time. Whereas for us, it's concerning if we think somebody's in trouble or worried, or it's concerning to us. So we all kind of care about that stuff. And I think that being able to find a way to show people that has been what our success is based on. And
Yeah.
Tumex is part of that, like Tumex is part of, he's really our friend. Sometimes we go up there just because he needs help with something.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, because he's the homie, and the homie called the homies, and hey, I need help. Can you guys come? Yeah, and that's what we do. And it's not filmed, and we're not going live, and nobody gets to see that shit. But
Yeah.
we're trying to do a better job at letting you see that side of the story more. And I think with the new shows coming up and new stuff that we have in the works, I think they're going to get that more. I think people like yourself and Gene and Mackie have really developed as hosts and really gotten more comfortable being on camera. That was a struggle for all of us at the beginning. I think it
Yeah.
always is. So I'm eager to see, as you guys develop into hosts that are even better, what's going to happen. And again, I said this on Jeffy's show last night. Like, the only way this stops is if we stop.
True.
The trajectory has already begun. So imagine this, Gabby. I'm gonna give you this scenario real quick, and this is something you can apply to your own brand.
Okay.
You saw the chat room yesterday, right? On an interview for me.
Mhm.
You're in that chat room. There's a bunch of people in that chat room talking. When you get in that chat room, people go, 7 October. So everybody's shouting you out, 7 October. They know who you are. They follow your stuff.
Yeah.
If tomorrow you announced, hey guys, I'm gonna stop doing this and I'm gonna just go get a 9-to-5 job and move on with life. Imagine the person who literally took the time to sit there and type your name in caps a bunch of times with a bunch of flames and then you're telling them you're out. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Again, when was the last time you did that for anybody, how would that feel?
Yeah, it's like a
And
letdown.
so,
Yeah.
nah, we can't. No, yeah, exactly. We can't quit. We need to have the content for them because they're using it to get through their lives. They're using it to get their mind off of shit. They're using it for whatever. That is our service. That is what we're doing. And if people are ashamed to do that, or they think that that's not what the point is, I feel like they need to stand corrected on that, because it is the point.
Yeah.
The point is we're doing this for them. Like the part they give back to us
Mhm.
is taking it in. That's as much as you can really do. We still have to do that. But going through all that, like going through everything you did to make your records and like pouring your heart into that, if they don't, if they share it and take it in, like that's what you did it for. Like,
Yeah.
and I think we just really understand that at Platform. We get that part. So yeah, I'm super defensive of the fans. I'm super defensive of the people who take in our shit. Like I said, I've said this before. I've seen people treat fans bad, and it was
Yeah.
the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And
Yeah.
so that will never happen with us. It's never going to happen. In fact, we're going to find more ways to keep giving the fans the things that can help them. And we got a lot of
Exactly.
ideas.
Yep.
And I think we're going to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I'm completely appreciative. Like you said, like even something people see as like maybe something so simple, like you said, like writing your name or hashtagging your name, but to me it means a lot.
Yep.
So I
That
appreciate
means a lot.
everybody. Yeah, everybody for like just even like you said, wasting or not wasting, but like giving a part of their life, like an hour of their life, or like you said, 10 hours of their life
Yep.
to watch us. That's like a big deal. So always
That's a
thankful for that.
big deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Would you say like right now, as far as like where you're at right now as like a creative or just like as a human being, like what has been your greatest accomplishment? Like do you feel like platform collection, or is it outside of the of your artistry that's been your greatest accomplishment so far?
Mm, I think it's just meeting the people, like meeting the people that I work with. That's been my major. For whatever reason, they fuck with me. So
Yeah.
I did something that people of this caliber fuck with me. I think the people that fuck with me, the people that are on our team, you included in this, I think you guys are really amazing individuals. The fact that you guys fuck with it at all is the accomplishment. Everything else is gravy. Like I said this the other day. I've, my whole goal, most of my life, has just been able to put food on my mom's table, and
Yeah.
I've been doing that for 5 years, 5, 6 years now. So
That's
everything
dope.
after that is
Yeah.
it's whatever. Like that was the point. The point was to do that. And now that I've done that, now I'm more just like, let's see how far we can take it.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a privilege and like, being blessed to be able to make a living out of your art, which like I've already conversed a bunch of times about that with you, that that's like my main goal. It's to
Yeah.
eventually like depend on my
Yep.
art versus like a 9 to 5, and then I'll be gravy
Yep.
too.
It's
uh
gonna happen for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that it's gonna happen for you. It's like it literally is just you'd have to like make an announcement tomorrow and be like, I quit,
yeah.
for it to not, because the machine already started. Like again, you see what's happening around you. The people that follow us and people that fuck with us, they're telling other people. So the snowball effect has already begun. It's already happened. Again, like if you're that passionate about the things that you like, that you tune into that many hours and you put in that much time, um, I know me as a fan, I'm trying to tell other people about it all the time. I'm super defensive of it. Like my favorite artists, I'm defensive of them. Like if you say
Yeah.
you don't like them, there there's a bunch of people that feel that way about us,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
because they do, they allow us to do what we do, and so fuck yeah, like you just I mean, not that anybody is, but you can't fuck with my fans. Like don't fuck with don't fuck with any of the people that support us. That shit
Yeah.
means more to me than anything. Like, and so I'm a ride for them, and because they're riding for us, and like
Mhm.
that's just what it is. Like, and like I said, with you and like everybody else, seeing the growth in all of you guys, and you know uh, I don't tell you enough, but I think what you've accomplished has been amazing. You've helped me understand audiences and fans more, watching you grow, watching you put
Yeah.
out very original stuff, and seeing like how people respond to it has been amazing. And it's crazy because I think one of the things that isn't said a lot is that you didn't have like the easiest start at the beginning. Like you had to like really prove yourself in our community. You had to really show up to everything. You had to really put in work. And
Yeah.
anyone who had doubted you at all, even a little bit, they are obviously wrong now. They've
Yeah.
been proven wrong. They are obviously wrong. And most of those people who doubted you aren't even doing what you're doing anymore. So it doesn't matter. Like I tell people this all the time. If you have some shit and you know you have the work ethic to, one, push through the pain, because it's going to be painful, but it should be, because again,
Hmm.
we're asking for something very special. We're asking for a special life. You're asking for a life to never have to like go back to being normal again. It should
Yeah.
hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think we're all pretty tough. We all can take the pain. Um, the audience has our back. The formula is just there, man. Like it's not going to get defeated. It's
Yeah.
going to blossom into everything that it's going to be, and you guys deserve it. Like that's just what it is. There's not That's not like patting you on the back or whatever. That's literally you pat me. If I'm patting you on the back, I'm patting you on the back for doing the shit you're supposed to be doing. You
Yeah.
know,
Thank you.
we'll celebrate when we have like the big wins, and we can give a shitload back to our audience and give them a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. But until then, the little wins are these wins that, you know, beyond all measures, you proved everybody wrong. And that's, what else do you want to do? You know, like after
Yeah.
that, like now let's just see how far we can take it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like inspiring too, like all of us at platform, because we're kind of like you said, we're breaking the cycle and showing an example of like what can be done. Like for example, me being like a Mexican woman, which sometimes like I grew up like around
Mm-hmm.
dudes, so sometimes I even forget like I'm a girl.
Yep.
And it's like I forgot. I
Yeah.
think it was like shout out to Edwin Pagan from Latin Horror. He's like, it's cool what you're doing for like the horror community and hip hop, and you're a woman, and nobody really like tapped
And
into that
women.
shit,
Yeah.
right? That shit's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I think, I even think the thing, I really liked how you're putting up, um, like people that you've looked at, like strong female figures in movies and stuff, like,
Yeah.
um, the reason I think that those things are important is because you're attempting to snatch back the narrative, like the
Yeah.
narrative of like, yo, this thing has to be this. If you see this thing, you have to think this about it, and that's bullshit. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to look at things, and you give us a perspective. At least I didn't. I mean, bro, I've learned so much about horror and stuff, like just why it means something, like through you.
Mhm.
And it's still crazy to me, like when people are like, horror, what is that? Like that just means you're not listening. You're not listen. Like take a chance to listen,
Exactly.
sit back and see the knowledge in it, and you'll realize, like everything we do in platform collection, there's layers to everything we're doing, and there's bigger reasons. And yeah, I appreciate all the shit that you do, and I think it's working. Like I said, like I think you serving as an example of the possibilities has already saved your family without you knowing it. You know, like your
Yeah.
family in the future, they've been saved because you decided to say, fuck that. We're not following rules. Like, rules are what kept us doing the same thing over and over again. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do any of that. And now, so everyone after you, I know you have nieces or nephews?
Yeah. Niece
Yeah,
and a
right?
nephew. Yeah. That I'm
Yeah.
close to. Yeah, my
So
sister's side. Yep.
what they're going to see, like you said, what they're seeing already is just like, yeah, like, oh, you want to do something that other people think is crazy. Well, when you grow up, you're not going to think it's crazy. You're going to be like, yeah, I could do that if I want, because
Yep.
my aunt does that, and like my friends do this, and like that's to me the most important thing. And you can definitely not do that by doing the status quo. Like if you're just
True.
showing up, going through the motions, it's impossible, man. And again, if what we're asking for is this life, this amazing life, then it should be that hard, and people who take it for granted should not be able to do it. That's the facts, and we don't have to do anything to enforce that. Trust me, this business will enforce it on its own. If you're soft and you're gonna let this thing beat you, it will. It wants to. This industry wants to beat you. It wants to keep money out of your pocket. It wants to do all those things. And what we stand as a giant fat no. Like that's what we're saying is no, it's not going to be like that, and it's not going to be how it always has been. And here's a collective of people who are not even the same that all feel that. So we know that we all have friends that feel that as well. They're not the same. So how big is this really? Like how big could this really be? It can be super huge.
Yeah.
Because I think it's what people need right now, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And even like you said, like my niece and nephew, but even like to go as far as like one of my coworkers, she's younger than me. I think she's 25. Shout out to Cindy. She even told me like for me, like that's like what I do it for too, is like inspiring other people to like do the same that I'm doing. Like doesn't have to be like in the artistic realm, but just like follow your dreams. So she told me the other day, she was like, I think it's like really inspiring what you're doing, like about like following your dreams, because it actually inspired me to like last year I wasn't doing anything, and I like now this year I want to be more productive and like not just do TikToks and look at memes and
That's the
shit like
reason.
right. So it's fucking dope to like
Yep.
see that you're inspiring other people to like go and do that too. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I've had shout out to the homie Bruce Banner. He's one of the fans that and a big time supporter. That dude has always had a passion in music. He fucked with music in the past.
Yeah,
And us doing music and us doing this stuff has helped inspire him to go back at it again as an adult. And like
that's
he has a
cool.
family, he has kids, and as an adult he's taking our music, he's gotten like my songs played on the radio because
Yeah,
we've given him shit because he asked me like yo, I'm trying to get some songs on the radio, would you mind if I take your, and I'm like fuck yeah, hell yeah, go do that. Because I know what I'm doing for him is that like, is it for me like the end all? No, it's not the end all. I'm probably not even that much of a radio artist, but if he's doing that and that's allowing, if he gives my song to the DJ and the DJ is like, that's dope, give me more.
mhm,
I just hooked him up. I hooked up my homie. And so he can do whatever he wants. He can use my art however he needs to use it. And
yeah,
in turn, he's for sure giving love back. You know what I mean? Like it's for
yep,
sure, he's for sure giving love back. He always gives love back. He checks for us. He makes sure that, we're doing our things, and we're going to give him a lot of music. I'm going to give him some of your music. I'm going to give him a bunch of people's music. And if that's helping his brand and his portfolio,
yeah,
then why would we not do that? He's a supporter. He doesn't do anything to me. It's not hurting me.
yeah,
And so I want to think of more ways to involve the fans and the audience to help them and empower them, because some of them just are doing this for the love. Like they really, really just love what we're doing, and they love the music and they love the art and they love the culture.
yeah,
So if we can give them tools to help them with that, then all day. I've told people this,
yeah,
and I've been making sure to say it on any interview. If you can't afford my record, because it's like $5, and I've been in a place where $5 is a lot of money at times. Please, like, don't take this as like a joke or like, oh, I wouldn't. Please do this, please. Like, if literally, I'm saying like, if you I don't have $5 on my ATM card or $5 on my PayPal, hit me up and just say, hey, dude, you mind if I get the record? Like, I will send you the MP3s. Like, boom, here, take them. Like,
yeah.
that's the more important part of this. It's always been the more important part of it for us.
You want people to
And
listen, yeah,
because of that, because that's what the part we're focused on, it just so happens that now people are willing to pay for a lot of the stuff that we do because they respect it. Like,
mhm,
the fact that I'm selling t-shirts right now, right? Like my t-shirts are selling really well, of my own art, and they don't even have my name on them. Like, you have to kind of know that I make them to even want them.
yeah,
That's dope as fuck to me. Like, I've been
it is,
wanting that forever. I've been wanting to like show that forever, and I've been wanting to like, be able to put more art out like that, and somebody wearing something that I put out, that's super dope. And I want to play in that area more. I want to play with more things that I think the audience might want from us. Like, I'm curious to know like what they like about what
yeah.
we do, and I want to give them more. Like I like giving them things to help them get through their day.
That's dope, man. And then to end the interview, I'll ask you the last question. I think I
Yep.
asked you this before, but it might change now as time passed. What has been or what's the type of legacy you want to leave behind, either creatively or personally, on a personal level?
Mm, I want to, on a personal level, I would like to leave a good blueprint for people that come after us, like how to be in this industry, treat people well, not lose your soul, and follow your ideas and dreams. Like, I want a
Yeah,
blueprint for that. And I want it to be super clear. Like, again, if you follow my art, you know I try to make things very clear so that you can really understand them. And I want to make that super clear. And so maybe I don't know what that looks like, man. I think
yeah,
we should probably all get together and talk about that. But
yeah,
maybe that's a book, maybe that's
yep,
a documentary, maybe that is what it is. But I want there to be an undeniable resource for good people in this industry to be able to have like a Bible or whatever they an instruction manual,
yeah,
like for them to go to anytime they're like, yo, this industry is not, it's not a, because it's not a people, you would think that it's a people industry, but the reality is most artists get taken advantage of. um
yeah,
and I think if we can put out a blueprint on how to keep a lot of people safe, even mentally, like especially with like mental health, I think we're big on that. I think we know a lot about it. I think we all deal with it on a certain level. We're all like a support system for each other. But at the same time, we're collecting a lot of data on that kind of stuff with our audience. I have talks with fans all the time about stuff. Um, and I think if more people heard that part of our culture, they would
yeah,
look at our culture in a new light, And I think seeing our culture in a new light every few years it should happen. Every few years there should be another shift, because
yeah,
if not, we're just being stagnant and we're holding
exactly.
on to a time that mattered maybe to you at that point, or to me or somebody else, but holding on to any time at all is ridiculous. Like, it's just a thought, like you're not really doing that. We're not really keeping, like, say, like the 90s alive or the 2000s. We can't do that,
Yeah,
like it's impossible. Things are going to change, and I want hip hop to be okay with change,
I
like I want
agree.
us to be okay with that. Stop beating each other up, stop judging each other on shit. Like, um not everybody expresses like their art in the same way, and to put value on that art is ridiculous. The value isn't decided by the people who create it; it's by the people who take it in. So if you make it, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, put
Yeah,
it out and and let them decide if you're really about this life, because that's the risk, that's the
yep,
fear, that's the big thing. When you drop your project, like, and now it's out there, and now they're gonna say what they're gonna say. They're gonna play it if they want to play it. They're gonna do what they want to do, um, and that's the end of our job. We
yep,
should go back to work right after that. Put it out, and then go. That's what I'm doing. I'm right back in the
mm-hmm,
studio,
yep,
trying to do it again. It can't ever stop. So I don't really have time to think about like who likes it or who doesn't. If
yeah,
you like it, I love you.
yeah,
If you don't like it, I don't know you. So that's it.
yep.
That's as much as I feel about it.
Dope, man. That's deep. Yeah, well, man, thank you. Obviously, we talk to each other every day. It's kind of weird, but
Thank you.
anyways, I'll obviously talk to you soon. But thank you, man. Obviously, I like giving the roses while you can still smell them. So obviously, I always tell you this, but I appreciate everything, for believing in my potential. So I do appreciate that, and obviously for sitting down with me and discussing your project. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that like people are like loving the project. So that's dope to see. Like when you win, we all win. So, congrats on your release, man.
Thank you.
Man, all
Thank you.
right.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, and yeah, I'm super proud of you. So yeah,
Thank you.
keep everything up.
Thank you, man. All right, we'll get out of here real quick. Um, I just wanted to thank everybody again for watching this episode. Again, Nightmare on Sedgwick Avenue podcast. You can follow me at 7Octoberz. You can follow KillcRey at KillcRey on Instagram, and then our platformcollection.com or at Platform Collection on Instagram. And yeah, thank you guys and have a great week. Peace.